I am born in Belgaum, which is the closest city. The Western Ghats ends just 4 kilometers from where I was born. I worked at sea for 47 years, and when I was on leave, I used to take up to this forest. These forests are very dear to me. I've seen this forest actively for last 35 years. Western Ghats is a victim of a disconnect between the policymakers, the bureaucrats, the elected members, the politicians, industrialists, who are disconnected from local knowledge, from the knowledge which is from academia, from researchers, and a lot of technology. This disconnect is the one which is actually spoiling or exploiting the Western Ghats beyond its means. This disconnect must be bridged. Like what Dr. Datar said, the bridge will be a solution to this. So I hope all the research, all the technology is adopted in a true sense, without political boundaries, without political differences, and that's the solution. As it goes, when we are forming these two wildlife sanctuaries, Bhimgad and Mhadei Wildlife Sanctuary, I realized that there is a huge stake of land between these two wildlife sanctuaries which could not be protected. So we went to buy this thousands of acres of land to set up India's first and the largest private wildlife sanctuary. It's a very important wildlife corridor, and at the end of this, we really are happy that wildlife corridor is protected. And now that is why we have to protect the entire forest. It is not a small patches that we can work on. So I really feel that we all have to get together, and that's what I'm going to do. As I got involved, and when I used to move around in this forest with people like Rajendra Kerkar and people who are working in this region of Mhadei Basin, and they came out that this area will rapidly fall prey to anti-forest activities. So it was very necessary that we protect this region, that it doesn't fall to mining, which was a major threat. Many people were looking at it because it was the closest area to Goa to extract basalt. Basalt is one of the most sick thing, what you call it as a gel or the stone that you use for making roads or the building for the construction activity. So to protect the forest from these activities, our group worked very hard. At the same time, Paryavarani Foundation, our another contemporary group, which was working in Belgaum side, that also created a Bhimgad Wildlife Sanctuary. And when this coordinates started coming up and people started realizing that there is a land which is available, and they immediately found land which is very outside these wildlife sanctuaries, which were being proposed, and it was threatened by mine owners, by monoculture people who wanted to grow cashew, people who wanted to open up quarries, people who wanted to extract bauxite from the laterital top sada, we call it a sada land in that area. And since this being a private forest, government could not be initiated to form the wildlife sanctuary. So it was a private effort to come together, convince the farmers, convince the people who are actually going to exploit the forest, and we managed to buy this land and then develop it as a wildlife sanctuary. About 150 acres of this land, was actually deforested by a mine owner. We reforested it, and today it has come back to the original. You cannot see it can never come to original state, but you looking at it, you don't find that it has ever been deforested. And this was a very important area for the, like I said, for a corridor. Now, what you feel after so many years is the happiness that the wildlife has increased. There is a lot of transition of traverse of wildlife through this, and it's a beautiful waterfalls which have been protected inside the private sanctuary. Because when you do such a big infrastructure, rather infrastructure in a sense, such a big forest, it requires maintenance, it requires, so we formed a resort, wildlife resort, nature resort, which we constructed and have given to villagers to operate. So that makes it, the objective of that is to educate the people what is the treasure in the forest here and why the forest should be protected. We take the guests which come to the resort, the villagers take them to the forest to show them what people are talking about the treasures today. That's what is shown to the guests which come. Guests come from all over India. Guests come from all over the world. And villagers are now very proud that they are protecting a forest. And they run a beautiful nature resort. They run it like a family. It is within the top 100 resorts in the world, eco resorts. It is called as, the name of the resort is Wilderness.
So what all you see is that is the land which is being preserved. We have about 1,000 acres here, this side of the boundary, although we don't consider boundaries, and about 200 acres is on the other side in the Karnataka. It's a very, very important wildlife corridor to connect the two wildlife sanctuaries, Reserve Forest of Maharashtra, Reserve Forest of Karnataka, and Goa. It's a very, very important forest with a lot of endemicity and a lot of biodiversity.